but they unmuted, so I'm going to take the next one. Call it 860-944. You're on the air.
Islam. Moorish.
Yes.
This is Lamar. Yes, this is Lamar Malachi Bay from northwest New Mexico, near Connecticut Territory. And I want to say how y'all doing, Anna E., Cujo, Ms. Varney, and Mother Roz. The last caller had, I guess he was having problems at the meeting room. And I had an encounter with some policy enforcers. And I filled out all my paperwork myself. I went to the law library. I got some forms there, but I had to change all the language. So the etymology of the words were correct. And went into the meeting room, and the judge wanted me to plead. Of course, that was a not guilty, and he started to move into trying to get me to speak on what they had charged me with. So I corrected him and let him know that the first order in law was status. And so I stated my status, who I was, and my lineage, that I was a descendant of the ancient Moabite, Ruth the ancient Moabite, and that, I mean, it's really scared this judge off the bench. It scared him off the bench. But he came back. I mean, he almost left the courtroom, and he came back. I did wind up winning that case, but there was a lot of trickery there. They wanted to ask me my name, which I had to give my appellation and tell them that was XREL. I had my ID when the policy enforcers picked me up, my Moorish ID. But they didn't use that. I do commercial work. I'm a driver. So they used my driver's license name. And so when they asked me my name, I said, well, that's an XREL. That's not my name. And they asked me where I lived, and I had to let them know that I don't live, I domicile, I move around, I domicile, you know, and that kind of thing. But they tried a lot of trickery. The way I beat the case was only to challenge their jurisdiction, because I knew they had to prove they had jurisdiction. Jurisdiction over the person, which would be personam jurisdiction. I heard that just a little earlier. Matter jurisdiction. They had to prove territorial jurisdiction. And, they stirred it around and kicked it around, kept me coming back and forth. And then I just simply told them, I said, well, I've been here 3 times, and I've challenged this jurisdiction, and you've not responded. So I told them, I hit them with an XRL. I said, there's an XRL, and I can't remember the exact case, but it states that once jurisdiction has been challenged, they must prove jurisdiction. And if they could not prove jurisdiction, they had to dismiss that case.
Yep.
And I told them, that's a physical document. It's signed by, and I didn't say Congress, but I knew it had to be signed by Congress. And it would tell when, what jurisdiction they had, whether it was personam, whether it was matter jurisdiction, whether it was territorial. And it would tell when it started. It would tell when it ended, how it started, and what they had jurisdiction over. And once they understood that I could speak to those XRELs and those charges and to what they should be doing, they had no choice but to dismiss that case. I would not talk about the charges other than to say that I wasn't guilty, I would not talk of the charges, because what they were trying to do was sneak me into their jurisdiction. Because once I passed status, the next thing would be jurisdiction. And I asked about jurisdiction, but now they're trying to adjudicate. They're trying to pass by that. And if I let them do that, then they have jurisdiction.
That's right. So you stood on jurisdiction till the cows came home. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they tried to set up, you know, a trial and everything with me. And each time when I came back, I just say, you know, you've not proved jurisdiction. And I challenge the jurisdiction again. There's another XREL that says our jurisdiction can be challenged at any point during a trial, including sentencing. And at the point where it's challenged, the court proceedings have to stop and they have to prove it.
Yeah.
But I have to keep hitting them with these federal stare decisis that they already knew, but I didn't make any headway until I started letting them know that I knew.
There you go.
And that's the weapon. That's the clarity that these Moors need when they're walking into these meeting houses. Because you don't have any rights if you can't claim them. If you can't name them, you can't claim them. These people know this woman way better than us.
Oh, wait, does that go back to study so that you'll know and show yourself approved? I think so.
Absolutely. I studied for years. I did not choose that particular time and place for that encounter, but I was taught very well. I tried to pay attention very well, and when the time came, I knew who I was, and I knew how to answer the trickery because I had internalized it. It's a spiritual thing. And when you start feeling it inwardly, then you know how to respond. And like I said, that was years. I studied for a few years. I've listened to Anna E. for a long time. And I kind of got it. I kind of got it internally, so I knew where I was at. And like I said, I've won 2 cases in court. I've never lost since I've been using this.
All right. What did you say your appellation was again?
It's Lamar Malachi Bay.
Oh, Lamar.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, Brother Lamar. All right.
So I just want to let those other Moors out there know that, I mean, you know, the supreme law of the land is the United States Constitution. All these public servants have taken an oath to it, and they're still not going to respect you if you can't tell them what rights you have. You know, you have unalienable rights, you have rights as a human being, you have rights as an indigenous person, and you have to reserve every right you have. I didn't use a lawyer, and they said, did you give up your right to an attorney? I said, I don't use attorneys, but let me be clear.
I'm not giving up no right.
All rights are reserved. I'm not using it, but I'm not giving it up either.
You know, that's a trick question right there, too. You know that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, that's a big trick question. Oh, you said, no, I'm not, I'm not using it, I'm presenting myself, and then they'll trick question you. Oh, so you're going pro se, and you're waiving your right to an attorney. There's no such thing as a right to an attorney.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they come from all angles. And it was just, like I said, a lot of study. I presented myself and proprietors to someone jurist, let them know I was a flesh and blood human being, and that put me into natural law. And I think that kind of scared them, too, with me doing that and then coming back and going straight to status and letting him know who I was. And like I said, he couldn't sit that bench. He got up and he started asking all kind of questions of the other public servants around him and stuff. And I guess they calmed him down a little bit. He sat back down. But I probably went to the meeting room about 4 or 5 times before I just decided, listen, if you don't state all this stuff, they're not gonna do what's right. Try to get some income from you.
Yep.
So that's why I had to state my rights and oath federal scared of sites. And I knew what they were doing wasn't based in law. It was all unlawful. It was legal. It was legal, but it was unlawful.
That's right. Everything legal is not lawful, but if it's lawful, it's legal. But yeah, well, see, I think the point you're making as well is, and we support, is that you have to know. If you can't name them, you can't claim them. If you don't know what they are, if you don't know the law of the land, you will never, ever, 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 ever be able to recognize when it is being violated. It's just not possible. So that's why you have to know these things. And yeah, when you first go and deal with this, you might have some apprehension or whatever, but you still have your strategy and you stick to the facts and you stick to the law. Period. But you can't do that if you don't know it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to leave you with that because I figure maybe, I know for a long time I was thinking, what do I study? And you know, I was kind of lost in it and trying to figure out where I go and how do I do that. But, you know, you have to know what law is and what law is not. You have to start, you know, studying those things. And then when you need it, it will come out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you forget anything. When you study it and you internalize it, when you need it, the brother says standing on his square, you get in that courtroom, you're nervous, but at some point you're going to stand there and then you listen and you respond correctly according to those 101s and the different teachings of Noble Drew Ali. And then once you have those things kind of internalized, when you need them, you'd be surprised. If you haven't thought of them in a year or two, they come right back to you.
They sure do. Don't it, though? It's revelations there within you already. You're right. Because you read it and it contained it. But it doesn't show itself until it's time for you to need it. It's like revelation. Yeah.
Absolutely. So with that, I'll say I'll yield the floor, and I just hope that, you know, that help some of those Moors out there that are having problems with the tribunals and the meeting rooms to know what to do. And I think all the information basically I used came off of RV Bay.
Well, I mean, fundamentals are definitely there in regards to, you know, these things in the law. So, yeah, could have circulating around other places. But what also said, and what I acknowledge here is that you didn't go into any fancy processes and this and you just went straight standing on what law is because you knew what law is. You knew what the functions are supposed to be. And although it was recognized by you that they're not doing that, that does not mean you do not still enforce it, especially when they're violating it against you. And that's all that you could do, is do what you know because you know, and, you know, you got a different reply.
Exactly, a favorable reply.
Listen, Islam, thank you for calling.
Islam, thank you guys for being there. Peace.
Wow.
Peace and love.
Wow, that was a great.
There was 2 more callers, but they both unmuted. So that is the last caller, and so I'm going to end the broadcast. It's